Are you tired of putting other people's needs first? Maybe you have trouble saying no because you always have to say yes, and this is causing stress. It's really weighing you down. If you're tired of it, then stick with me because so am I, and we're going to work through it, understanding the 2 root causes of this people-pleasing behavior, and discuss 7 unexpected, actionable steps that you can start to do without adding any extra time into your busy schedule. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand why it happens and how to stop it so that you can get to a better life that's balanced. So let's get into it. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. I'm Jenny with Life Balanced. I'm a busy mom. I'm a cancer survivor that has come out on the other side, and I'm able to coach people like you to bring a better wellness balance to your life for a happier, healthier version of you. Okay, so let's first talk a little bit about where people-pleasing behavior stems from. This, of course, is not one of the most fun things to talk about, but it's an important one. So the first one, it's a deep-seated fear of rejection. So maybe somewhere along the line in your life, you had a significant event that has caused you to have that fear of rejection, and it becomes some kind of response. The second thing is the desire to be liked by others. And this is natural. We all do want to be accepted. And it's when this behavior takes an extreme prioritization of other needs above your own. So I have been guilty of people-pleasing behavior. I know we all kind of get into this vortex, and understanding if it's extreme or not, there could be some self-reflection there. So working on myself in other ways with my kids and a busy work, and then going through cancer and treatments and all of that, it really just came up for me, and I was able to reflect. And that's where I really learned where my own people-pleasing behavior had been coming from, and the fear of rejection and how those are related. I was able to see it plain as day one day, and since then been able to take action to improve it. I'm not going to get into my own personal experience, but if you're curious, comment below. I'm happy to make a video if there's enough interest here. I'm an open book, so if at any time you feel like you have any particular questions that you want to ask me about where some of my behaviors have stemmed from, or my cancer journey, anything like that, I'm an open book. I would rather you be informed by asking questions to be able to help others than be worried about asking the questions. So please feel free to comment below if you are curious about more. I'm happy to make more videos about that. So all of this to say, sometimes it takes time to actually see it and identify that there is this behavior within yourself. And the other thing is, once you see it, you got to notice and be able to identify it. And the other thing is, the hard one is actually being able to admit it to yourself, right? Sometimes we kind of see some of these behaviors and we kind of feel like, oh, maybe we are. And then we just kind of put it in the back of our brains, move on with our day-to-day and not really address it. So understand that it's going to take time. That could take time to notice it and or even admit it to be able to make that change. It took me a long time to notice it. So that is okay. And that's why I'm here. Okay, so how do you know if you are actually engaging in this people-pleasing behavior? What are the signs that we look at for? Do you have a really hard time saying no, even when you really, really, really want to? Do you actually feel guilty when you prioritize your own feelings above others? Do you constantly seek and need the validation and approval from others? Does any of this sound familiar? Don't worry. If any of these sound familiar, I've got 7 actionable steps that you can actually put it into your day-to-day without adding any time to your busy schedule. What do we do to overcome it? In terms of putting other people's needs above your own, take note of that. Start to be aware of when people are asking you for things. Are you still saying yes and your kind of inner voice is saying no? You don't have to change the behavior right now. Just see it happen and just take note of it. Take mental note of it. Then you can start to seek to understand why. Is it that fear of rejection? Do you feel like if you tell them no, that they're gonna be your friend anymore? Or, it's gonna be a knockdown, drag out fight that you're trying to maybe avoid, or an uncomfortable situation? Or is it because you feel that strong desire and need to be liked, and you think saying yes is gonna make them like you more? Understanding those 2 foundational things will really take you super far, and you haven't even put anything into action yet. So what I want you to do is start practicing saying no. There's a kind way to say no. If you have done boundary work and you feel like you can have a stronger boundary, it's okay to say yes and. So saying yes, you can do this thing, and I need a week to do it. I need 3 days to do it. I need help from so-and-so to make it done. So you can kind of set parameters on what yes looks like. So if you don't want to say no, what's kind of that compromise? It's okay to compromise that, but I would say be very firm in your boundary. Now, if you don't have strong boundaries, I would not recommend doing this right away. Just saying no on a smaller scale with the first step, because it's about taking very small first steps and getting those first wins to really build up that confidence to be able to continue to learn and grow. In that instance, setting healthy boundaries is essential. We need to make sure that we're prioritizing our own needs. This is where the therapy journey started for me. One of the first or second adult therapy sessions that I had, my therapist at the time ultimately just said, what are 3 things that will make you happy in life? So obviously that wasn't something I could just like ramble off right in that very moment. So I really had to reflect on it for a week, 2 weeks. It took a while because you know what? I didn't really know. I feel like a lot of my life, I lived it based on how other people wanted me to live my life. And I didn't yet see myself as my own person. This was big for me to really sit down and think about what those things are. So I challenge you to do that for you. So I'm thinking about doing a worksheet. If you feel like a worksheet would be helpful for you to find the 3 things in your life that really at the core what you want your life to be about and what will make you happy, comment below, let me know, and I'll get that freebie going for you. Once you've identified the key needs that you need for a healthy life, then you just work backwards to prioritize those. What can you do in your day-to-day to start prioritizing those things? Tiny small steps, right, make that big impact over time. Okay, the next one is going to be a much harder thing to do. And this is to learn how to manage criticism. I hear people say, learn how to deal with criticism. And it's not necessarily dealing with criticism, it's how to manage criticism. But sometimes as people pleasers, we may take criticism to the extreme and get overly emotional about it when it's more, the intent wasn't that they were criticizing you. So I think a big thing is really just understanding that criticism isn't always bad and negative, and it is okay if someone is giving you feedback. This kind of goes back to just being you, being okay with what you can do and what you're giving in your life, knowing that what you're giving is all backed up by the needs that you have to be happy, and not letting one small incident where you're just going to have to learn to let it go and stay out of your head. It takes a lot of self-control, but all of these steps that we're doing just continue to build and build and build on each other and will help get us out of these cycles to help give us that brain space back to reduce our stress. I know everybody has heard this before. You can't please everyone. So just keeping that top of mind, understanding that you've done what you could do, and if these people don't like it or they have different opinions or they approach it differently, that's okay. It's okay that we can be different, right? We can have similar objectives and take a million different paths to get to the same destination, and that's okay. The other really important thing to remember, and it's very cliche, and that's all fine and good. Write it on a post-it if you have to. But those that know and truly love you know who you are. They know your authentic self. Hell, they may know you better than you know you. So that's where you want to prioritize some of that and just let the rest go. What I can tell you is be authentically you and be confident in that. If you've seen some of my affirmation videos, I found a process that worked for me, and I am really loving the affirmations and they're working. I think that's a great way to build that confidence, to start to learn to be authentically you when you do affirmations that you actually believe in, okay? That is the key to starting with that. So number 6, surround yourself with supportive people. You want to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who know you for who you are and support you, but aren't the ones that are there for you because of what you do for them, right? That's why it's okay to say no to people that are supportive, because they love you for you anyway, right? People who are around because of what you do for them, because you're constantly saying yes, are the ones you don't really want to be saying yes to anyway. They're the ones that are building the stress up for you. So you definitely want to evaluate some of those relationships and make sure that none of them are based on what you do for them. You definitely don't want to be in any one-sided relationships, because that's where things can get toxic, and those relationships aren't worth adding that stress onto your shoulders. I promise. Alrighty, 7. Last but not least is self-care. The reason why I talk about it so much, because I have a lot of passion for it. It's not worth this stress causing disease, weight gain, inflammation, cancers, any of that stuff. None of it's worth it. So if you are getting value, please like, comment, subscribe, and share, help the algorithm and help other people get this valuable content so they can get the same value that you are. Okay, so back to it. Self-care. This is one of the easiest ones to forget and to deprioritize. I'm also guilty. It's really hard to prioritize your own needs over others and really do the work because sometimes you feel like it's added time to our schedules, but I'm telling you, this way is not adding any extra time to your schedule. So self-care is really about taking care of yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally. And this really makes you start to feel really good about yourself. So this is where you're building that confidence and you can start to understand what makes you happy and be authentically you. Because you build this confidence, your need for validation decreases. And this is why this lowers our stress and anxiety and helps to combat this people-pleasing behavior that we exercise in. So I know that these steps all together may seem very hard to do all at once, but breaking them down and identifying the first two that I shared with you that were the most important in my opinion is first catching yourself doing the action or the behavior. Remember, we don't have to do anything just yet. Just notice it when it's happening in your day-to-day and then starting to understand where it actually is stemming from. And the rest with small adjustments just start to fall in place. We don't need to make it hard. Also, revisit this video, watch it again, keep it top of mind. But most important thing that I want you to know is that these steps over time will lead to reducing stress. So please feel empowered to take these steps so that you can overcome this additional stress that we're putting on ourselves. You should also know that you should and deserve to prioritize your needs over other people's. And I just want to thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. If you want more information, please be sure to follow for more.